Welcome back to the O Luck Health Podcast. I'm your host, Hank, and this is episode number 2. Today we're diving into something that's super practical for all you EP students and new graduates out there: how to actually get your first job interview in the exercise physiology field. I'm excited to have a very special guest with me today, my old mate, Eric. Eric and I go way back to high school. We used to spend our weekends doing photography together and hitting the gym. Fun fact, Eric was absolutely the smartest kid in our class. While I'd be cramming for 2 hours the night before a history exam, this guy would breeze through it in like 30 minutes and still ace it.
Come on, mate. You're making me sound like a show-off. Good to be here, though, Hank.
We both decided to study exercise physiology together after high school, but life had other plans. My family moved to Australia, so we kinda lost touch for a while. But Eric's been working in the EP industry for about 5 years now, and he recently went through a pretty interesting job search experience. Eric, thanks for joining me today.
No worries at all. Always happy to help out fellow EPs, especially when it's you asking.
So, let's start with my story first, since our listeners might relate to the new graduate struggle. Eric, you know how my partner Eleanor graduated nursing a year before me and really struggled to find her first job? She kept telling me, "Hank, just take whatever opportunity comes your way."
Yeah, Eleanor was smart about that. The first job is always the hardest to get.
Exactly. So when my university program coordinator sent out an email about this exciting opportunity at an innovative private practice doing water-based exercise interventions, I thought, well, I'm not exactly Michael Phelps, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Water-based therapy when you're not a strong swimmer, that's commitment right there.
Right? So, Eric, you asked me before about how I actually got that interview opportunity. Let me walk you through what I did, because I think this could really help our listeners. Yeah, break it down for us. What was your approach? Well, I spent ages on my first resume and cover letter. Probably way longer than I needed to, but I was so nervous. The key thing I did was really dive deep into the company's website. I wanted to understand their values, their approach, everything. That's crucial. You can't just send out generic applications. Exactly. So I had to link my study experience and placement work to what they were doing. Lucky for me, I'd been pretty active during uni. I had my personal trainer certification and was doing group fitness sessions, one-on-one training, even some home visits. It gave me a taste of working as a sole trader in the fitness industry. That's gold, mate. That real-world experience, even if it's not exactly EP work, shows you understand client interaction in service delivery. Right. In my resume, I made sure to list all my skills and work experience really clearly, but in the cover letter, I specifically mentioned that I'd reviewed their website and explained how my experience and values aligned with theirs. And you had that little trick you told me about, didn't you? Oh yeah, the color scheme trick. I actually changed my resume's color scheme and decorative patterns to match their company logo and branding. It's a small thing, but it sends an instant message that you've done your research and you're paying attention to details.
That's brilliant. It makes the reviewer feel familiar with your application, shows you've at least looked at their website properly.
Exactly. And it worked. I got the interview. But Eric, I know you've got a totally different story. You recently changed jobs after 5 years, right? What was your experience like?
Yeah, it's interesting how different it is when you've got experience under your belt. My first job was actually offered to me during placement. I didn't even have to write a proper resume or cover letter back then.
That's the dream scenario for students listening.
It was. But after 5 years at the same company, I started feeling a bit lost, I guess. Like I needed to see what else was out there, expand my knowledge and experience.
And EP job opportunities aren't exactly flooding the market, are they?
No, definitely not. If you look on Seek, there are noticeably fewer EP positions compared to other health professions. Part of that is because EP is still relatively new. ESSO was only founded about 30 years ago. But anyway, that's probably a topic for another episode.
Absolutely. So what happened when you started applying for new positions? Well, I went all out. I applied to 6 different organizations: public, private, aged care, gyms, clinics, you name it. And guess what? All 6 offered me interviews. 6 out of 6? What's your secret, mate? Well, when you've got 5 years of experience, your approach changes completely.
Employers aren't looking for someone they need to train from scratch. They want a senior EP who can bring value they don't already have.
Right, so your resume and cover letter focus would be totally different from a new graduate. Exactly. In my resume, I heavily emphasized unique projects and initiatives I led, things that made me stand out. In the cover letter, I did what you did. I connected my experience to their company values and job description. But you mentioned examples were crucial. Oh, absolutely. This is the most important thing I learned. You must give specific examples. People love stories, and when you give real case examples, it makes your application come alive. It's more trustworthy and memorable when HR is reviewing dozens of applications.
Can you give us an example of what you mean by a good story in a cover letter?
Sure. Instead of just saying, I have experience in program development, I might write something like, at my previous role, I noticed that there were some challenges in conducting objective measures with limited resources and tools. I made modifications to the objective measures and test venues to make them more safe and appropriate, which improved our assessment accuracy while maintaining client safety standards.
That's so much more compelling than just listing skills.
Right, it shows impact, problem solving, and results. That's what employers want to see.
This is such valuable advice for our listeners. Eric, I feel like we could talk about this for hours, but we're running up against our time limit here.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten into the actual interview experiences yet.
Exactly. So, listeners, I'm definitely going to have Eric back on the show to share his interview stories and tips. There's so much more to cover about what happens once you actually get in the room. Looking forward to it. And for anyone listening who's about to apply for their first EP job, just remember, everyone's journey is different. Don't get discouraged if it takes a few tries. Absolutely. And remember, whether you're a new graduate like I was or someone with experience looking for a change like Eric, the key is showing that you understand the company and can articulate your value clearly. And don't forget those specific examples. Yes, stories, stories, stories. Thanks so much for joining me today, Eric. This has been incredibly helpful. My pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me on. And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in to episode 2 of the OLUK Health Podcast. Next episode, we'll dive deeper into the interview process itself with Eric, so make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. Until next time, keep moving forward in your EP journey.